Hello everyone! Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Unicorns and Typewriters. My name is Skylar and I'm back today with another exciting booktube video. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about a topic I have been meaning to talk about for a very long time, and that is comics and graphic novels. So a long while back before I had my big bookshelves, I did a video on my favorite manga series, and at the time I also tried to include comics and graphic novels, and the video was way too long and I cut it out and kind of just promised myself I would do another comic book and graphic novel video shortly after that, and then proceeded to never do it. So I'm back today with that video that I've been meaning to do, and I'm going to talk about some of my favorite graphic novels and comic book series to hopefully give you all some suggestions and recommendations for ones that you might want to check out. So one that is really trending right now that most people probably have heard of, but if you needed one extra push to go check it out, is the Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. So Heartstopper is about two boys who are in high school in the UK who fall in love. It's really cute. It's got some amazing diverse LGBTQ characters, and it deals with a lot of issues for teens between relationships and parents and familial issues, as well as mental health issues. And I really just love the way it's all handled, and it's just so wholesome and just, I don't know, it really makes your heart warm. And that's called Heartstopper. It's so cute. Just trust me, guys. You should read this if you haven't already. I went ahead and read these way before I realized there was going to be a Netflix series. They were blowing up on Instagram, and when I found out they were making a live action Netflix series, I was so excited about it. And guys, I absolutely loved the Netflix series. I highly recommend checking it out, but I also highly recommend reading the comics. So I would say go ahead and read the comics first, because they're just so cute and wholesome, and you'll just appreciate the TV show even more if you've read the story from the books. But if you did go ahead and watch the TV show, I still recommend checking out the comics. There are 4 of them out, and they are just so cute and so good, and they go beyond the point that the TV show did in the series. So if you are interested in learning more about their stories and where it goes from the point the TV show ends, I do highly recommend checking these out. There definitely are some minor differences between the books and the TV series, but they're not massive enough to bother me. Like, as a reader, I still think they did an amazing job adapting the book series, and I'm really excited about it. I do really love the comics. You can see they have kind of a one-tone look to them. They're all this kind of aqua color, and I really like it, and it's really cute. And yeah, I'm just overall a huge fan of this series. They're fun to read, they're fast to read, you can read them really quickly, and I've read all 4 that are out, and I'm so sad. I think that the 5th book is going to be the last, I think, in the series. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I could just read these forever, so I honestly just wish they would never end. The next book I want to talk about is Witchy by Ariel, Slamet, Ries. So this is a really cool graphic novel. I think these are considered graphic novels. Excuse me if I use graphic novel and comic like interchangeably. I read the first book very recently. It came in an Owlcrate box a long time ago, so if you've seen this book on shelves, it probably looks a little different. If I remember, I'll put up an image of what the regular cover looks like, because this is the exclusive cover that came in the Owlcrate box. So it wasn't the main book in the Owlcrate box, it was like an extra book that they threw in. They do that on occasion. They'll put in like an extra paperback book. This is the only time that I remember that I've gotten an Owlcrate that came with a graphic novel. I was very excited to get a graphic novel, and I don't know why it took me this long to read it. I think I've had it for a couple of years now, and so I did really enjoy it when I read it recently, and I actually got the second book in the series, so I'm really excited to give that one a read as well. This series is about a girl who lives in a very interesting magical world where the length of their hair will tell people how powerful and magical they are. There is, though, the possibility of being too powerful and too magical, and they have witch burnings in this world. It's really interesting. I can't say I've completely figured it out yet, but we do see in the first book that there is sort of a corruption of power in their hierarchy of power in their world, and there is kind of a rebel group, and it's just really interesting so far. I'm really enjoying it. The main character, she has super long hair, and she kind of uses magic to hide it from everyone because her father was murdered for having too long of hair and being too magical. So it was a really interesting concept. At first I wasn't too sure, but as I read on and as I got to the end, I was like, yes, I need to find out if there's another book, and luckily there is. So I'm so ready to read on in this series and see how I feel about it as I go, and I'll definitely update you guys on my like monthly reading wrap-ups to let you know how I feel once I do go ahead and read this second book. But so far, after reading the first book, I would highly recommend it. So the next book that I want to bring up is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Rosemary, Valero-O'Connell, and Mariko Tamaki. And this book is just so cute. Like Heartstopper, it has a really adorable art style in which everything is kind of black and pink. And I like these kind of like two-tone art style. Some pages hardly have any pink and are mostly just black, but I find the art style to be really, really cute and pretty. Very much like Heartstopper, this book has a really good diverse range of characters. It has LGBTQ main characters, and it is just a really cute story. It's definitely heavier. It feels a lot heavier than Heartstopper. It deals a lot with mental health and relationships mostly are the kind of focuses on this one, but I don't know, I really, really enjoyed this one. I've heard great things about it. It got a lot of buzz. It obviously got a Prince Award for Excellence in Young Adult Literature, which is really cool. I definitely think if you've heard about this book, it is totally worth the hype. I really enjoyed it. Actually, talking about it now, it's kind of making me want to reread it because I don't remember all the finer details, but overall, I just thought it was a really good book about learning how to love yourself and kind of appreciate yourself and not letting yourself get lost in like toxic relationships. So if you're interested in that type of topic, I highly recommend checking this one out. The next book I want to talk about, which is a collection of comic books, is this collection I have of JTHM, and that stands for Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. And yes, it is about a homicidal maniac named Johnny. So this book is definitely very off the beaten path. I don't know if it's for everyone. You have to have a pretty strong stomach and also enjoy the horror genre. This book I would definitely say falls under horror. It is about a homicidal maniac, and it is just such offbeat humor, very dark, very creepy. I really love it. The author is Jhonen Vasquez. I'm so sorry if I'm not saying his name right. I'm so bad with names sometimes, but I'm a big fan of his. He is also the creator of Invader Zim. If you ever watched that show as a kid, it was very popular when I was younger. I actually thought it was too kind of creepy when I was a kid, so I've only gotten to really appreciate it in adulthood. Now that I'm less creeped out by things, I do actually enjoy it, even though it's still a little goofy for me. This collection of comics, however, I feel like really hits that sort of dark, more serious humor that I definitely really enjoy. It's, like I said, I don't think it's for everyone, but the artwork is very kind of bold and spooky looking. I love the characters. It's just, it deals with what I think are a lot of issues of mental health and feeling kind of othered in society, which of course doesn't have to make someone, you know, be a homicidal maniac, but I like the dark topics that it deals with, and some of the artwork is just so beautiful. In a creepy way, I mean, you have to keep that in mind. It's like beautiful in a creepy way, but I can really appreciate that. I feel like I've gotten really into the horror genre. When I talk about comic books, I usually do tell people that this is my favorite series. I just think it is so dark and unique and different, and yeah, I would love it if the author wrote more of this series. He did actually also write a series called Squee, which is about one of the characters that is mentioned a couple of times in this. It's sort of a little boy that is very scared of everything. So we do get to see Johnny in here a bit. Here's some of the artwork on the back. Very creative, also very dark. This one has the exact same art style. It's got a very kind of dark, creepy art style. There is actually one other sort of series that goes along with these that's about one of the female characters in JTHM, and I really have been wanting to get my hands on that, so I should probably do that this summer. But overall, I would highly recommend checking these out. I think it's pretty easy to get this collection for a little while. I think it was hard to get, but I'm pretty sure it's easy to get again. They're just I love these so much. I don't know. My dark Edgar Allan Poe, Tim Burton loving heart just is all about these. If you like horror, I think you'd enjoy them. And because I enjoyed those, I actually was kind of looking for something sort of similar. I stumbled upon this and I thought it seemed like it might be the same vibe, and it definitely is. It's a little fluffier, but it's a similar vibe, and that is I Hate Fairyland by Skottie Young. And as you can see, we're also looking at something that's got some violence. This one is like a mixture of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and like Alice in Wonderland, centering around a young girl who ends up trapped in this fairyland and basically is stuck in a little girl's body, but is really like a woman who's like middle-aged and really angry that she's still stuck in a little girl's body. And it's really violent and very humorous. I do highly recommend it. I really liked it. Yeah, so it's very colorful, which is different than anything I've ever read with this amount of violence. But yeah, kind of violent, as you can sort of see here. So I really enjoyed this. There actually is a whole series, and I've been meaning to pick up the next book, so maybe I will go ahead and do that this summer. I really like dark humor, so it was just something I could get into, and it was just really fun to find something in the same kind of vibe as Johnny. I just hadn't seen anything like that before finding this. And one other series that I'd like to mention that I have read a good portion of, I actually was just looking it up online and realizing that I think there might be more to it than what I originally read. So it's something I'm actually going to be looking into to see if I can find more books or collections from the series. But back when I was like a teenager, I read a comic book series called Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane. I'll put a picture up here. I have it somewhere, but it's packed away in one of my boxes and I can't get to it right now, so hopefully I'll be able to pull that out soon, but I'll put an image here so you guys can check it out. And I remember really liking that series. I was a huge Spider-Man fan when I was a kid. He's still my favorite superhero, but I really loved the movies with Tobey Maguire. They were the first superhero movies that I really got into as a kid, so I think they just will always hold a special place in my heart. Obviously, there was a gap between when that came out and when Spider-Man was then redone and Andrew Garfield played him, and now of course there's a whole nother Spider-Man, but there was a gap there where I was just really missing Spider-Man content, and I did read this series, Spider-Man Loves Mary Jane, and I believe I had like 2 hardback books of it that were collections, but I'm actually not certain if those were like full. I feel like they didn't seem like they concluded, so I feel like there is more, and I was poking around and I think I might have found the next book in the series, which I think is like the last book or the last collection. They were originally comic books, so I would really like to finish reading that actually if I can get my hands on the rest of the series. Let me know down in the comments if this is a series that you've read, because I'm super curious about it. And I just remember absolutely loving the artwork and thinking that it was so cute and really liking to get a story. It was from Mary Jane's perspective. It was obviously written more for a female audience, but I don't think there's anything wrong with guys reading it as well. But I just thought it was really cool, and it wasn't like some weird fantasy where Mary Jane and Spider-Man were dating. It was still very much based in the story that we kind of knew and loved already, of them sort of just being friends because they were mutually friends with Harry, and Peter Parker is just kind of this nerdy guy in Mary Jane's life that's her neighbor, and she doesn't really like know that well, and you kind of get to see them actually getting to know each other a bit through the series. But of course she has this crush on Spider-Man because he saves her a couple times. I just thought it was really fun, and I thought it was definitely worth mentioning on this list because it does appear that there are more books in the series than I originally thought. So I'll be checking that out, and I'll definitely let you guys know if I read more of that series and how I feel about it. It's been such a long time since I picked it up. I don't know if I'll feel the same way or if I'll think it's super corny, but I just think the artwork was cute and it was really fun. So while speaking of graphic novels and comic books, I can't help but mention that I have the copy of Extraordinary by V.E. Schwab, which is a villain story. I really want to read this series. That's Vengeful and Vicious are the novel series that V.E. Schwab wrote, and then this is supposed to be kind of in the same world, I guess. I think you have to read those first. Let me know down in the comments if that's not true, but I'd really like to read those so I can read this because I just love V.E. Schwab, and the artwork in here looks pretty beautiful, so yeah, I'd really like to get into this sometime very soon. Anyway, I hope that you all enjoyed watching this and maybe it gave you some ideas for graphic novels or comic books that you want to check out. Please like this video if you did enjoy watching. Comment down below and let me know what you thought of these series, if you've read them, if any are new to you, and if you have any that you want to suggest to me due to my preferences that I've talked about here. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this, and I will be back with another new video soon. Have a good rest of your week, everyone. Bye!